or a resident of Steamboat Springs, Colorado, today is the result of 10 years of saving and career advancement. After a decade of driving a used college car, they finally arrived at the dealership to buy their first new Audi Q3. The dealership in Glenwood Springs mirrors the brand's own aesthetic: minimalist, upscale, and precise. The website and the architecture suggest you are doing business with the manufacturer that designed the car. But that relationship is an illusion. Audi does not own the showroom. In Colorado and in every other state in the country, it is illegal for them to do so. This location is actually owned by Sonic Automotive. Based in North Carolina, Sonic is a Fortune 500 company that has built a multi-billion-dollar empire as a middleman without ever manufacturing a single vehicle. Unlike almost any other retail purchase in the United States, buying a car legally requires the consumer to enter a long-term, high-stakes relationship with a third-party corporation they did not choose and cannot bypass. In the 1920s, the power dynamic was the exact opposite of what we see today. Detroit's Big Three manufacturers held absolute leverage over the small, independent entrepreneurs who sold their cars. During financial downturns, manufacturers kept their own factory production and inventory levels high, essentially dumping thousands of cars onto local dealers, who had no choice but to pay for them and assume the risk of selling them. Executives used this leverage to force compliance on local owners. Henry Ford famously mandated that his anti-Semitic propaganda, the Dearborn Independent, be displayed in Ford showrooms. If a dealer objected, the manufacturer could simply freeze them out or license a competitor across town. By the 1950s, the post-war consumer boom transformed these businesses. Dealerships became wealthy fixtures of their towns. They sponsored high school sports and provided the sales tax revenue critical for local governments. Owners leveraged this local importance to lobby state legislatures for protection. They secured laws that banned manufacturers from selling directly to consumers, effectively making the middleman a legal necessity. These rules were designed to protect small-town mom-and-pop shops from factory bullying. But over time, those same laws created a protected environment that allowed massive corporate dealership groups to grow into monopolies. Today, those local family businesses have largely been absorbed by massive conglomerates. For the consumer, this means navigating a marketplace where competition is limited and the middleman is unavoidable. This chart shows the gap between what the buyer pays and what the dealer pays. Even if the buyer negotiates a deal at the sticker price of $48,170, the dealership is already making thousands over the manufacturer's invoice cost. Then, the dealership adds destination and handling fees. While they often present these as fixed administrative costs, many industry insiders view them as additional profit generators for the lot. Once the price of the car is settled, the buyer is moved to the office of the finance and insurance manager. While the title suggests paperwork and administrative loose ends, this individual is actually a highly trained specialist in upselling. This is where dealerships generate back-end gross. It is a separate stream of revenue from the physical sale of the car, and it is the primary profit engine for modern dealers. In this office, the manager works to secure the highest interest rate the buyer will accept, while pushing overpriced add-ons like gap insurance and extended warranties. Companies like Sonic Automotive have reported record back-end earnings of over $2,500 per car sold. The cumulative effect is a transaction where a vehicle that costs the dealership $44,000 becomes a $56,000 financial commitment for the buyer. This century-old model is now facing a structural challenge from electric vehicle makers like Tesla and Rivian. Their products require less routine maintenance and more direct consumer education, which does not align with the high-volume service model used by traditional dealers. Tesla has spent 2 decades fighting a state-by-state legal battle to sell directly to customers. Because they never established a franchise network to begin with, they've successfully exploited loopholes in many state laws to bypass the middleman. Entrenched dealers are fighting to protect their territory. In 2026, Sonic Automotive sued the state of Colorado for granting a dealership license to Scout Motors, arguing that the manufacturer direct model violates existing franchise protections. Even traditional manufacturers are reaching a breaking point. Ford CEO Jim Farley recently threatened to reduce vehicle allocations to dealers who used excessive price markups, as the practice was damaging the brand's reputation with customers. These state laws were initially intended to prevent manufacturers from predatory behavior. Now they act as a barrier that prevents manufacturers from responding to how modern consumers actually want to buy cars. Public sentiment has largely turned against the current system. Polling indicates that over 80% of consumers suspect hidden fees and lack trust in the transparency of the dealership experience. As the direct-to-consumer model for EVs grows in popularity, the legacy dealership model is losing its monopoly on the American car buyer's options. While the legal protections for dealerships remain firmly in place, the arrival of more transparent alternatives is forcing a confrontation between antiquated state laws and a consumer base that is increasingly motivated to find a way out of the gauntlet.